Hi everyone, this is Ed, the Audio Nut. I wanted to show you a modification that I'm doing to the CDi1000 Crown Power Amplifier. It's a really nice amplifier, lightweight, has great specs, good installation style amplifier. I used many of these when I had my installation business. But it has one drawback. The inputs are only screw terminal, and the outputs are only screw terminal. So I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I should build some kind of box that hooks on the back that I could hook XLRs to, and also Speakons for the output and so forth, and got to looking at the amp. And I'll have to show you guys what I found out. It's pretty cool. I'm going to flip this around and show you the back. So on the back of the amp, here's your inputs. You've got your ground plus minus wire for the input 1, and then ground plus minus for input 2, which is your right and left. And it's great for installation work where you just, you know, you're putting in the wires, you tighten down the screws and you're done. But for portable use, it just doesn't work. So it'd be nice to have XLRs over here. So then again, I was thinking about building some kind of box to put in there on the back that would have XLRs, but I'll show you something that is pretty cool. We're not there yet though. And so here's the speaker outputs of the amplifier, and of course uses the screw terminals again, which for, you know, permanent install, perfect. But for portable use, very inconvenient. So I'm going to show you something that I discovered. It's pretty cool. Stand by. Taking the cover off the amp, there's only 3 screws. There's one right here in the back, and then there's one on each side of the amplifier. So 3 screws get you into the inside of the amp. And I'm going to pull that. I'll show you guys the inside. So here's the amp with the cover off, and we're looking from the front of the amplifier to the back panel. And discovered something pretty cool. If you look closely, I'll point it out here. If you look over on this side here, there is punch outs in the panel down here, and there's 4 of them that go across here, and that's the input side of the amp. And then if you look over here where the speaker outs are, there's 2 more punch outs down here, one there, one there. So I investigated a little bit further, and sure enough, they are the right size for an XLR, and they're the right size for a Speakon. So I'll show you what I did to make the mod to this and make it so that you have XLR ins and Speakon outs. Stand by. So looking at the input section, it looks like there's a PC board right behind this section here. In other words, where you plug in these, it goes through the panel, of course, and then there's a PC board right here. And it looks like only 1 screw is holding that whole PC board in. So I'm going to try to take that off, and that'll give us a lot better access to the punch outs that are underneath it. So it looks like the screw that's holding the PC board in is a star drive. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out and see if that gets us any closer to getting the PC board loose. If I can get the screw out of there. We'll see here. Boy, it's a long screw. Guess I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to fall out or anything. Huh. That's a longie. All right, so I got that out, I think. Yeah, there it is. There's the screw. But see, there's a star drive. So if you've got some star drives, you'll have to figure out which one it is. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, now I'm going to see if I can get it out. I noticed there's a ribbon cable here it'll have to come out. I'll take that off. And then try and wheel that out. Oh, you know what? You have to take these plugins out off of that like this. Get those off of there. And then look, comes right out. So that's our PC board right there. And that's the bottom side of it. And I'm going to set that aside for now and see what kind of access we have now for the holes to put the XLRs in. We'll see. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have a much clearer view with that PC board out of the way. We can actually see the punch outs, and interestingly, even the screw holes are in there. I would probably use these two outside ones, that one and then the one over on the other side there, as my inputs. I'm not quite sure what these center ones are, whether those are a special kind of plug or whatever, but these sure look like they're going to fit the XLRs just fine. So now we've got to figure out how do we get that hole opened up, and we'll take a look at the back and figure that out. Be right back. So the only thing covering up the punch outs is kind of a thick decal type thing they've got running across the whole back of the amplifier. So what I did is I took a razor blade and I carefully cut out one of them. You just make an X. What I did is just made an X across here in both directions, kind of peeled it back, and then I just cut along the edge of the hole. And then I also discovered, of course, the screw holes are there, which is really nice. So that'll be nice. So now I'm going to test and see how much room we got if I want to try and put the Speakon through the hole. Let's check that out. So I'm going to switch to that view and see what we've got. So I'm inserting the Speakon through the hole here in the back, and I'm noticing that it isn't going to go in all the way by any means. I've still got about 3/4 of the Speakon outside the hole, and so that's not going to work. So I've got an idea of how I can solve this problem, and I'll be right back with the solution. So we're going to solve the problem of the Speakon not being able to be inserted all the way into the chassis by using a standoff. And these are a common electronic part for tube sockets, that kind of thing. When you didn't want to have it mounted right on the chassis, you would use these standoffs. It's a number 6 by 32 thread on the one end, and then the hole in the inside is 632 as well. So that way you can use a 632 screw and have it screw into the standoffs, and then this standoff is going to go through the hole in the panel. That's going to hold this out away enough that these spades where we're going to solder our wires on are not going to hit the components in there. So I'm going to start mounting these posts on the one hole. We'll try it out, see how it works. So here's the outside after I mounted the 1/2-inch standoffs and mounted the actual Speakon. And let's check it out and see how much room we've got inside now. Okay, so here's the inside view of the Speakon. It looks like we got plenty of room. We're not going to hit any of the wires coming up, and none of the components on the board. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. We're going to solder wires to the Speakons, and then we're going to bring them up to these red wires that are poking out of the PC board. There are the speakers, and you know, you got left and right and so forth, and then it comes up and it meets those clips that clip onto the jack or the actual screw connector block on the outside of the amp. So we're going to tie to those. That way we can use both. You know, we'll have the screws available as well as being able to use a Speakon. So I'm going to work on this side, and then we'll start talking about the XLR side, how we're going to do that. I cut the other hole out with the razor blade and mounted the standoffs. So I'm ready to mount the Speakons. I have to prep the Speakons, though. I'm going to put wires on them so that when I go through the hole, they'll be ready. And all I have to do is bring the wires up and solder them onto the clips that come through to the screw connections on the outside. So I'm going to get that together. I'm going to solder the wires on the Speakons, and we'll go from there. So here's the Speakons mounted on the outside of the amp. It turned out pretty good. They are real sturdy, and one thing I forgot to mention to you guys, I used a 9/64 drill bit to widen out the holes in the Speakons just slightly. The number 6 32 screws were really tight going through the hole, so I just used that, and they slip through real easily now. Also, the mounting posts on the standoffs, on the inside, I used a lock nut type of nut. That way it won't come loose. So anyway, everything turned out good on the mounting side, and I got the wires all soldered up and everything, and I'll show you that. So here's the wires coming up from the Speakons. I used 2 red wires for the positive and black wires here for the negatives. Use 1+, 1- on the Speakons, and 1+ would be the red wire for each side, and then of course the black wires would be your 1-. So anyway, it turned out pretty good. They soldered to these posts pretty easily, and so this side is pretty much finished. We'll have to test it out once we get everything done on the XLR side and see if this darn thing works. So we're going to work on the XLR side now. Okay, I razor bladed the holes on the input side, and seems like they came out pretty good. There's plenty of room in there. Put one of these guys in, see if it's going to fit. Yeah, wow, nice fit. So the other thing that's kind of cool about this is I can use the regular screws for the XLRs. I don't have to use the number 6 over here. So anyway, we'll check that out and see how much room we've got on the inside. Let's take a look. So here's the inside view, and you can see that the XLR has tons of room. It's not running into anything in here, and I even checked the PC board above it. It's not even coming close to the PC board, so we've got plenty of room in there. So I'm going to start soldering the wires onto these, and then we're going to solder them onto the input connections on the PC board that's going to be above it, and that'll start wrapping things up. I got the 2 XLR panel mounts done. They're down here mounted into the panel, and I soldered on the microphone cable to it and brought the cables around. I've got a rubber grommet here in the panel that goes out the back, and those wires are going to actually terminate onto the screw terminals. Originally, I was going to use the PC board that the screw terminals hooked into, but I got to looking at it, and honestly, it's a little too tiny to put all those mic cables on, so I decided to go ahead and just use the screw connections. But you can see how small these are. That would be a pain in the neck try to get them on there. So anyway, it's going to work out fine. I'll show you the back, how that's going to work out. All right, so there's the back panel, and you can see where I brought the wires through. This grommet right here, I was able to get both of them in there, which was good. That's a 5/8 inch rubber grommet, and I was kind of sweating the hole. I was like, I don't really have a bit that big and all that. And then I remembered my son was telling me about his step bit, and I remembered I've got one of those, so there it is. This really made it easy. Yeah, you just do a pilot hole, and then you just, bring it in as deep as you want for the width of the hole, and it really didn't make too much of a mess either, surprisingly. So anyway, that's how we did that. I'm going to mount the PC board in there, and that's kind of wrapping things up. We'll be real close to seeing if everything works okay. I got the input PC board mounted back in and all the wires plugged in. So before I put the top on it, I'm going to do some testing, make sure it works, and that'll wrap it up. We'll see. Well, everything is hooked up and ready to test out. I got all the Speakon connections in and the XLR connections, so let's just see if it works. Sounds like everything's working. That's a good thing. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button, helps build up my channel. And we will catch you later. Have a great day.